talking about this and the history of what happened with Cody Rhodes. I mean, that was an amazing moment. Him winning
10 pounds of
title
gold
his father had. It was an amazing moment. I mean, and the speech was amazing too.
Yeah, it was like, of the stories that personally I've watched over the years, I thought it was like one of the most amazing moments that I had ever seen. Now, there are a couple people, joke.
It was cool.
I thought you brought a tear to your eye.
I almost did. I'll tell you what.
It was nostalgic. He was wearing polka dots the next day.
It almost did, but it was like,
You guys are assholes.
One of the guys, the A words being thrown around today. But one of
such an
the
a-hole.
guys I had a chance to interview, Paul Guglielmo. He's out of Rochester and on the Brother Wee's radio show. I even asked him, he thought it was an amazing, moment, a big shot in the arm that this whole event has given the pro wrestling business. But as a pro wrestling moment, probably one of the most amazing ones I've ever seen. Because you're talking about, I don't know how many. I don't think
just
there's
the history
ever,
there. There's so much history there.
I don't think there's ever been a father and son that I know, that I remember or know of, that's held the same heavyweight championship belt.
Heavyweight championship for sure.
It is, yes.
Right.
I don't know if that's ever happened before, but some of the images that were coming up online, like Cody holding up the belt and like his dad's image in the background.
Right.
I'm like, you're
Just tugging at the heartstrings.
You are because you could tell. Now, before anybody gets into it, oh well, it's his show, and he booked himself to win, blah blah blah, this and the other thing. Why people have to understand two things. One, NWA and Billy Corgan had to sign off on it.
Right.
That's not something that
It's not like it's not like it was the all-in heavyweight title.
right.
It was backed by another organization that somebody else had to be okay with.
Exactly.
Well, and on top of it, what it does for that organization, it brings validity back to them. They've kind of been at the wayside. We haven't heard NWA in years.
I haven't heard NWA in 30 years.
I mean, outside of
literally.
our friends from Compton. I mean, NWA, I have not heard that name in wrestling in years, and I still have my old school figurines with their little belts. I mean, but this brings validity and it brings attention back to them, and they needed that as well.
And another thing, and it's a calculated move by Billy Corgan and NWA as well, because coming up, I believe it's next month, NWA's 70th anniversary show in Tennessee.
Smashing Pumpkins going to play there?
It could be. I don't know. I would kind of want to see
That'd be
that
cool.
show, but that's where the rematch is going to happen with Cody and Nick Aldis, and you know what? And Nick Aldis deserves a lot of credit himself because he was champion for about 8 months for an organization that has been dead in the water for how long? And he's also he was also Magnus in Impact. His wife is Vicky James, so we're all up there. But he deserves a lot of credit for taking an organization, putting it on his back, pretty much, and carrying it as far as he did. And now it's going over to Cody. Let's see how long he holds on to the belt for.
He's going to drop it right back to him at the rematch. But because it was the nostalgia factor again.
Right.
It was.
Like that goes into something we talk about. Something you guys talk about all the time, and something we talk about every time I'm here. It's meaningful storytelling, and that's something that I don't remember. I think it was me and you were talking about it on Facebook the other day. Like when it comes to watching WWE, I don't care about 80% of their product because I don't give a damn about their storyline because the storylines suck.
They're
you looked
rehashed
at me
old shit.
wrong, or you've interrupted my 19th attempt at a solo with my guitar, or
Can somebody shoot that guy? Oh my God.
But it stands for Walk with Elias.
I love Elias. I do. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
I
hate that he's being relegated to a comedy role right now. But really the only storyline in WWE that really even remotely matters is the Braun Strowman Roman Reigns, because Strowman's basically saying, I'm better than you, I want the belt. Reigns brought in his friends. So Strowman got friends and then got more friends, and they're just building that. And,
Why can't we be friends? We could do this every weekend. Sorry, Biggie.
But, I mean, you look at the other side, you got Samoa Joe and AJ Styles feuding because Samoa Joe keeps talking shit about AJ Styles' family. I don't care.
And how many times?
You're not really talking
how many
crap
times
about
have we
someone's
seen that
family.
before? We saw
Right.
it with Randy Orton and Triple H. I mean, we've seen all this shit rehashed so many times. Just like this whole Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. We
You're
saw it a
holding
couple
me
months
back.
ago when it was Sasha and Bailey.
Yeah, but I think that's
Meaningful storytelling.
meaningful and deep rooted.
Yes.
I mean, because it goes back so many years, and having Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard there just kind of furthered it. You know, it further brought me into it. You know,
Bringing that back with the Magnum TA Tully Blanchard thing, just to kind of touch on that, just with the NWA belt, and now the way they have this thing set up with Cody and everybody, where they're kind of they kind of go in between Ring of Honor, New Japan, now NWA is involved. It almost reminds me of when the heavyweight champion Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, any of those guys were the champ during the days of the territories. And they could go to Texas Stadium and fight Kerry Von Erich,
I was just
and then
gonna say
he can go to New Japan and fight Stan Hansen. I'm using all these old names right now just to kind of put it in perspective, but I think that's pretty cool. Like if Cody, you're saying Cody might drop the belt or whatever if he does it, but you have a name on the belt now.
What you're saying is they can
move
they can
around
float between factions and
between
kind of,
federations.
Yeah. Oh, federations,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
not factions.
Between
you could show up on New Japan one day and be on Ring of Honor the next.
Yeah,
and kind of create storylines.
I think that's cool.
That's great with having friends in the business.
And if you want to talk about competing, which that was the initial statement, was shot in the arm to the wrestling business. Competition's good. If like in my opinion, at least while I've been alive, the greatest era of wrestling was the Attitude Era, when WCW and WWE were pushing the limits against each other, and it was, what do I want to watch more? Who had a better story that I wanted to watch that night? And if you want to talk about that, that's the only way to do it, because we just talked about it. None of these organizations have the money to keep a ton of big stars. The only way to do it is to say, hey, we're going to have Cody Rhodes on Ring of Honor defending the NWA title. And then we're going to have Cody Rhodes in New Japan defending the NWA title. And then we're going to have Cody Rhodes at Lucha Underground defending the NWA title against the Lucha Underground heavyweight champion. And
well, plus, too, you have that option, too, of, hey, you never know who's going to show up on any given night and interrupt the show.
Right.
Well,
you can have somebody just pop up, start a feud, and not come back for a couple months and then pop up again. Yeah, exactly.
Jericho.
Well, you know what's really...
Wasn't he Octagon Bob or whatever the hell his name was?
Pentagon Jr.
That's what it was, yeah. It's the worst name ever. I'm sorry.
If you read the storyline behind the Pentagon,
it's still, though.
It's awesome.
Triangle Joe was great. Spectacular.
Do my light work.
You do my light work.
Yeah, he's kind of hospital, man. You gotta help him out.
Come on, man.
Sorry, Rhombus Russ. Sorry, man.
Rhombus Russ. Yeah, that was amazing.
That was fantastic.
All right.
How many ways can I say fuck you?
Oh, shit, he dropped that bomb.
Whoa. Usually I'm the first one to drop the fuck word.
That was awesome. I love making you swear.
But you know what's really interesting about the wrestling business now? It's not about the other organizations being on their own. It's Lucha Underground and Impact. It's New Japan and Ring of Honor.
They're ganging up.
Now you have NWA kind of, even though Cody has the belt, they're still kind of like in the middle-ish.
I think their best option would be to try to interweave with all of those.
I mean, why not?
It's
the
only way you're going to get on the map.
There's strength in numbers, and right now, if you're going to go against the Giant, get as many people behind you as you can.
That's basically what they've done. They've kind of intermingled themselves. And
that's what All In meant. It wasn't just because they put everything into it. It was, hey, they brought everybody they could into it.
And you know what's great? There are other names. Like Joey Janela from CZW, and I think his name was MJF.
Okay.
you know, you get to see other names. Matt Cross. I heard the name Matt Cross, and then he put on a hell of a match. It was the lead match right after the after the WGN 1 hour pre-show. You know, Jordan Grace. She was the only female in the Battle Royal. You got to see Brian Cage, who I've seen on Impact and Lucha Underground. He's an absolute beast monster.
Like Johnny.
Yeah, that dude's huge too for what he can do, man. Like he's a
That's-
big boy.
Weapon X, man.
Weapon at
Yeah.
I like Johnny
I-
Cage. Finish him.
Somebody's,
Wrong organization there, buddy.
Damn it.
somebody's being a jerk today.
I'm awake for once. Leave me alone.
He pre-ordered his WWE 2K19.
For one reason, though. It comes with a piece of Ric Flair's robe. Who wouldn't?
Duh.
Woo! And he gets to play with Liv Morgan.
Yeah, exactly.
I will take blue tongue any day.